For our project, we wanted to research personal space and why people feel uncomfortable or awkward when their personal bubble is invaded. Also, we wanted to see how this bubble changes depending on the relationships that people have.
Before forming our hypothesis, we researched this topic and found prior studies done by Edward Hall. He examined the study of spatial interrelationships in humans, which is called proxemics. In 1966, Hall wrote the book The Hidden Dimension, in which he introduced and explained the theory on proxemics that is most well known.
He believed that human perception of space is shaped by culture. As he looked into this further, he came up with definitions of informal or personal space that surrounds a person and broke them into zones. These include the intimate zone, personal zone, social zone, and public zone.
He considered the intimate zone to be a personal bubble, and a person is only comfortable with their closest friends being in this area. This is about 18 inches around your body. The personal zone is the area that people feel comfortable with an acquaintance being in. This is between 18 inches and 4 feet.
The social zone is between 4 to 10 feet and is the comfortable space between people you fairly know but are not very familiar with. The public zone is the area between which people will perceive interactions as impersonal. This is 10 or more feet and is a comfortable space around complete strangers.
Knowing this, we came up with our hypothesis. When people are put in social situations, it is awkward for another person to be less than an arm's length away.
Since Hall's book was written over 40 years ago, the theories that he came up with may not be fitting with what we see or how we feel today. His zones can still be used to describe situations, but the space around your body may differ.
In today's society, we are used to having to be in close proximities to others, especially if you live in an urban area. Though some people feel uncomfortable in a situation like this, many people are okay with it. In order to do some comparisons, we asked people how big their personal bubble is.
I don't have one. I'm pretty big. I get really claustrophobic over a lot of things. Like when I'm in a large crowd, I can't do it.
How big is my bubble? I have a relatively small bubble because I'm just like an outgoing guy, you know.
My bubble is like that.
Just like a foot
I get
around.
claustrophobic in lunch lines. So, and that's like really close. You know, my bubble is big.
So like arms length.
I don't have a big personal bubble. I like to let people get in my bubble. So if they're in my bubble, I feel like I can communicate with them better.
I guess probably about a foot.
Through our research, we found that the reason people feel uncomfortable in situations like these are because of your brain. This relates to when we learned about the different parts of the brain during class. There is a structure in the brain called the amygdala, which controls fear and emotion. The amygdala are a pair of almond-shaped brain regions located within each temporal lobe. It is because of these that a person does not want to be incredibly close to a stranger.
An experiment was done by a team of scientists at Caltech on a woman with a disease called Urbach-Wiethe, which caused her amygdala to disconnect from the rest of the brain. The scientists believed that this would mean that her idea of personal space is altered. In this experiment, they put her into different situations which most people would feel uncomfortable in to see how she reacted. The researchers found that she felt completely at ease up until she was practically nose-to-nose with the experimenter.
Many trials, they came to the conclusion that her preferable personal distance is 1.1 feet. According to the scientists who conducted the experiment, the average ideal space between two people is 2.5 feet. When we asked what a normal standing distance between the person and a stranger is, we received the following answers.
About 2 feet. Like an arm stand.
Doesn't really matter.
About like two feet maybe.
2 feet.
Yeah, like a couple feet.
Couple feet, okay.
This, I guess.
3 feet. Stranger cut. I would say about 3 feet.
I'd say like 2 or 3 feet.
The most common answer we received from the interviews, as well as the surveys, was an arm's length. The average arm length is 32 inches or 2.75 feet. This information is fairly similar to the 2.5 feet that scientists have stated as the average comfortable space.
We also asked people about specific situations in which they felt their personal space was invaded, and we received the following answers.
Concerts, people are all around you. I meant like people are jumping on you. I don't like it.
Most awkward, probably with adults, like bosses and stuff, like getting like real close to you and stuff, like, oh, like how you doing? Like,
Hey girl.
like I'm doing good. You're 40 years old. Like get away from me.
I guess like at concerts and stuff, like it's always awkward when someone's like jumping and like rubbing against you. It's like, ugh. Always when they're so crowded, like you're definitely invading my personal bubble. It's just like.
People that are close talkers, that like to get face to face with you and really get in your face and talk to you, that's really awkward. I was in the middle of an interview, sorry. So when people get really close to me and they start talking and they start spitting on you, that's really awkward. I don't like that.
I guess probably people who are just really close talkers. It's not like one thing, but people who want to speak to you are really entirely too close.
A great example of when a person's personal space is invaded is at a concert. In our survey, we asked people about this, and almost everyone agreed that they feel uncomfortable when a stranger stands too close to them at concerts. This brought up the question about how the size of someone's personal bubble changes around different people, which relates back to Hall's theories on proxemics. Everyone we asked said that their personal bubble decreases in size when they are around their friends and family.
For my best friend, there isn't a comfortable distance. Like I'm a very hands-on guy, so I just get up there. You know what I'm saying? What's up, brother? Yeah, what up? Shout out to Sherwood. Sherwood, what up?
About 2 inches.
You got close to that need to. Like this, I guess. I don't know.
Ashley asked. She's my best friend, and she smells, so I wouldn't want to know. She's okay. Probably like a little closer than like a stranger, I guess. Half an arm.
Maybe 1 or 2 feet.
Maybe a foot to 2 feet.
In order to obtain more information on this subject, we conducted our own experiment. We went to the mall and put ourselves into different situations that would hopefully make a stranger feel uncomfortable, so we could observe their reactions. We tried out 2 different situations. For one situation, one of us walked over to a stranger sitting on a bench and sat next to them. After doing this multiple times, we noticed that when we sat next to people, they would immediately pull out their phone. We assumed this was because they felt uncomfortable.
Another situation was walking next to a stranger. For this, we sped up while walking until we caught up with the person in front of us, and then we would walk at the same pace as them. After doing this many times, we noticed that once we caught up to the person, he or she would walk faster so that we would no longer be next to them.
What we found most interesting was the fact that we also felt very awkward while conducting the experiment. For example, when we sat next to people on a bench, we thought it was uncomfortable for us to stay there long enough to see their reaction.
In our surveys, we also asked how you can tell if a person feels uncomfortable with how close you are to them. The most common answers we received were they will slowly back away, have an uncomfortable look on their face, or cross their arms so their body position is unfriendly.
Yeah. If you're up to someone, they don't like it, they're gonna walk away.
Yeah, they start getting like a little like more disengaged with the conversation. Like they don't really like talk to you, and it's clearly awkward and uncomfortable.
Yeah, because they give you like a look and then you back away. It's so true.
When you invade someone's first space, they kind of get all awkward and defensive too.
I try to avoid doing that, so I hope that I don't. But I don't know if I've ever consciously done that.
Another question we asked was if someone is sitting on a bench and it was the only bench around, would you sit on it or stay standing? We received mixed answers for this one. Most people said they would sit. A handful of people said they would stand, and a few people said they would sit a couple feet away if possible.
Through our research, interviews, surveys, and experiment, we came to the conclusion that our hypothesis was correct. Generally, people do feel awkward if put in a social situation when a person is less than an arm's length away. The space does change depending on your relationship with the person you are with, and it also varies person to person. But someone's personal bubble is normally 2.5 feet or an arm's length.
Thanks for watching our presentation.